Hi everyone, there's a couple of things that I want to do with this video. And first, I want to show you relationships and percentage of DNA matches that will be between different people in your family tree. What you're looking at here on this screen is a portion of my family tree, and the red circle is where I am on this tree. So everything is in relationship to me, although I'm showing various different relationships and how DNA will match across generations and on the same line of a generation. So for example, Julie, who's me, and my brother Michael, we will share 50% of our DNA. So if I were to take his DNA sample and my DNA sample, 50% of our DNA should match, roughly. And what that equates to, you'll see down here on the bottom of the screen here, what that equates to is between 2,640 to 3,400 centimorgans is what we will match on with a DNA sample. So here in a moment, I'm going to show you how you can actually look at that. Now, the same is true for my mother and her brothers. So here on this line where you see my mother, Maribel, and her brothers, Glendon and Hayes, they too will match 50% of their DNA. So between 2,640 to 3,400 centimorgans will be exact matches between their DNA samples. Now over here I have an actual match, and I'm going to show you in a moment in the second half of this video about how to actually determine this, and you can get a nice picture of exactly where you match on your DNA. So I'll show you that in a moment. Now, the other thing to notice here is that between my mother, Maribel, and myself, Julie, we will also match 50% of DNA. Now, every person that's shown up here that's in yellow, I have either had a DNA test done or it's in the process of being done. So for example, myself and my brother, my mother, we would all share 50% DNA. Now, between me, Julie, and my uncle Hayes here, we will share about 25% DNA. As an uncle to their niece or an uncle to the nephew. So the same thing with Glendon and my brother, they would share 25% DNA. Or Hayes and my brother, they will share 25% DNA, roughly. That's not exactly always the case. And that will represent 1,700, approximately 1,700 centimorgans. Over here you can see how we actually matched, and I'll show you in a moment how I did that. Now, between myself and my grandfather, Philip, we will also share 25% DNA. That's between grandparent and grandchild, also around 1,700 centimorgans. Since I do not have a DNA sample for my grandfather, Philip, I do not have his exact sample, then I'm not able to actually match myself to him. First cousins will share about 12.5%, so Everett and Glendon, or Everett and Hayes, they will match about 12.5%, or 850 centimorgans. And my great-grandparents, I would share 12.5%. Then when we start looking at myself versus my first cousin one time removed, Donnie, we will share only about 6.25% DNA. Now, the one thing that I am attempting to do by sampling all these people on my family tree and getting their DNA done is that, for example, I do not have my grandfather Philip's or my grandmother Lois's DNA sample. I don't have that. And at this point, I have all three children tested or in the process of being tested, but 50% of Philip is inherited by each child, and 50% of the DNA from Lois is inherited by each child. So how would I know what is Philip and what is Lois? I don't really have any idea there. Now, the reason that I'm testing Everett, for example, is because his mother, Nellie, and my grandfather, Philip, were brother and sister. So if I want to know, at least some small portion of what is Philip's actual DNA, I can compare Everett to the children of my grandfather, and I will at least get a sense of what is skeleton DNA that is shared between Nellie and Philip. Same thing with Donnie. I'm testing him because with his DNA sample, I will be able to at least identify a small portion of what Lois's DNA is, because when I compare Donnie to the children of Lois, I'll be able to isolate what is her DNA that would be shared between Lois and Comer. Now, what I'm going to do is to go over to gedmatch.com, and I'm going to show you how I got these actual match numbers on the centimorgans. So go with me to gedmatch.com, GEDMATCH.com. So here we are at the GEDmatch site. And what I'm going to do is to do a one-to-one comparison. So here's the form that I need to fill out. I'm going to enter in one kit number and a second kit number. What I'm doing here is I am comparing my DNA kit to my uncle's DNA kit. I also want to show a graphic for each chromosome. Now what I have is each chromosome. So this bar right here is chromosome number 1. And these blue bars are where my uncle and I share big pieces of DNA. So on that chromosome, we match in a couple of spots. On chromosome 2, we match in several different locations on chromosome 2. And if you scroll down the screen, you will actually get down to the bottom where you see, in my case, I've got chromosome 19, 20, 21, and 22. We have matches on just about every strand of DNA. And you'll see here the total segments. This total segments number shows that we match on 1,657 centimorgans. Now, if we go back over to my example, here is myself and my uncle. So this uncle to niece comparison that I've just done says that approximately 25% of DNA will be shared between the two of us, and that will be approximately 1,700 centimorgans. Our actual match, according to the website, is 1,657 centimorgans. I hope this helps for you to be able to understand how to read a DNA chart, how to, at least at a basic level, be able to look at some comparisons on GEDmatch. And thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you on another video.